What's on, ladies and gentlemen? My name's Ross, I like games, and today we need to take a little bit of a look at the latest rules roundup from the lovely folks over at the Transformers trading card game. Now, they have given a little bit of a note this week and basically said, look, War for Cybertron Siege 2 is not out, so giving rulings about cards, some of which have been revealed, some of which haven't been revealed, it gets too awkward and confusing for players, so from now on, we're only doing rules roundups about cards and giving rulings about cards that have actually been released. Wait till later on, till a little bit closer, when War for Cybertron Siege 2 has actually been revealed, and then they'll give out a call and give all their rulings then. Cool. So let's start off talking about Soundwave and Blaster. So both Soundwave and Blaster from that new deck in alt mode have basically the same skill. Your starting number of stars increases by 1 for each mini cassette on your starting team. So what happens if your starting team is Blaster and Soundwave, 20 stars combined, and one mini cassette, let's say Buzzsaw? Very simply, both the skills work. You get an extra 2 stars, so you'd now be using 25 of a 27 star limit team. Soundwave goes, oh, there's a mini cassette on your team, have an extra star. And Blaster goes, oh, there's a mini cassette on your team, have an extra star. Where does Buzzsaw start? Wherever you want. They both have to start with Buzzsaw under. They can't both start with Buzzsaw under. Ergo, you get a little bit of a choice. What kind of music do they compete in? Dueling banjos. Not kidding, that's in the rules roundup. Okay then. So, does outside the game refer to the sideboard? So we've got a couple of cards that refer to outside the game. We've got the Grimlock from Wave 2. When you attack, you get to grab a Dinobot that you own from outside the game, put it in your KO area in your alt mode, in its alt mode, fully damaged. And then we've got Optimus Prime from Wave 2, which has a very similar thing. When the game begins and you have only Sentinel characters, choose up to 3 different Sentinels you own from outside the game, put them into your KO area. Incidentally, we do also have Unleash Potential, whereby if you've played Ancient Wisdom this turn, you can choose a battle card you own from outside the game that has 1 star and put it into your hand. They all came out in Wave 2, unless I'm misremembering, and correct me in the comments if I am. I don't think there were any in Wave 3 that did this. Well, now that we have sideboards, do those cards have to be in your sideboard? And the answer is, they can be. They can be in your sideboard, they can be in your bag, in your binder, doesn't really matter. The only thing that's relevant is that they are not in your deck or in your scrap pile. Cool. So let's say you're resolving Brainstorm. Brainstorm's that action that lets you play 2 more actions. And you play 2 defensive formations. Defensive formation being one of those new secret actions. When one of your characters defends, each of your characters gets +1 defense until end of turn. Okay. What about Wave 3 SKYWARP? So Wave 3 SKYWARP's got a lovely little action in bot mode. When you play a secret action, you draw a card. Do you get to draw both cards? And when do you draw them? And the answer is yes, you get to draw 2 cards. You're playing 2 secret actions. You get to draw 2 cards. When do you draw them? After Brainstorm has finished resolving. Essentially, you start Brainstorm, and then you play all these secret actions, but you've got to finish resolving Brainstorm till you can do stuff like draw cards using SKYWARP. So Bolster's another one of these secret actions. Bolster, you reveal it when one of your characters defends, and you may play an armor onto the defender. Cool. So let's say I've got a specialist. Clearly, I'm going Dinobot Sludge here, Dinobots for life. And you play a multi-mission gear. So multi-mission gear here is an armor, and when you put it on a specialist, you may play an action. So then I go for Peace Through Tyranny. Peace Through Tyranny is that phenomenal card that's got a double orange icon, lets you KO a character, and then take an extra turn. And I KO the defender, ending the turn with no flips. Do you get an extra turn and then a normal turn? Yes. You take your extra turn, then your normal turn, but remember the new rule that came out a little while ago, you can never have more than one additional turn generated during a turn. Micro Capacitor, here's another fun new card that came around in the Blaster versus Soundwave deck, and it's a utility upgrade. When the upgraded character's tap ability is used, you untap the character and scrap this card. Now, we've all been thinking about this in terms of all of the Micromasters from Wave 3. This was what we were thinking, so something like, oh, I don't know, let's go Private Red Heat. He can be a little bit controversial at times. What about Thrust? The answer's no. And the problem here, very simply, is Thrust doesn't have a tap ability. Now, he has an ability that taps him, but it's not a tap ability, unfortunately. If we look at Private Red Heat, it's literally got a tap ability symbol. And then scrap a white icon card from your hand, choose two of your characters, swap their upgrades. Cool. But if we look at Thrust, it has an ability that involves tapping him, but it is not a tap ability. It does not work. Sorry. Hey, didn't we mention Bolster a minute ago? Let's go back to Bolster. So, you're defending, and you show yourself a little bit of Bolster. That lets you attach an armor, and clearly here we're going back to multi-mission gear, which then lets you play an action. This is the one that is inevitably going to lead to ruling questions, because you're then basically playing an action on your opponent's turn. Well, what happens if you then use Brainstorm to play two actions, and you choose to play down Battlefield Report and Defensive Formation, both of which do fun things when one of your characters defends? Nothing happens. And the answer is, those cards are revealed when you defend. Well, you started defending when you showed Bolster and then played the multi-mission gear. You can play those secret actions down, but unfortunately, they are too late to be revealed. You have already started defending. It's too late. Sorry, ladies and gentlemen. So Reclaim. Now, I have a soft spot for this card because this is the one that I revealed from the Devastator deck. It is an action card that reads, put an upgrade from your scrap pile on top of your deck. If your tower is 3 or higher, draw a card. Well, what happens if you've got Major Shockwave in bot mode? Remember, he's got the awesome skill. You may look at the top card of your deck at any time. But what if Reclaim is the last card in your deck? So you go, oh, that's a Decepticon card, so I can use that with Major Shockwave. You know it's a Decepticon card, it's got the Decepticon symbol. Well, if it's your last card in your deck, what happens is Major Shockwave goes, oh, I can use this. You play it, and remember the rule, and this is a key thing. In the Transformers trading card game, the second your deck runs out of cards, you shuffle your scrap pile and it becomes your deck. At which point, Reclaim goes, oh, I'm going to search my scrap pile for an upgrade. Wait a second. There are no cards in my scrap pile, and there's nothing that you can do. Major Shockwave will stand around looking confused. The key to that ruling is, the second you run out of cards, you shuffle up your deck. Cool. So what if you've got a Battle Master, let's go Taraxodon because, you know, Taraxodon for life, in the KO area and the match runs to time. Now remember, if the match runs to time, you look at all of the damage on all the characters, including in the KO area, and that is one of the tiebreakers. Do you count the amount of damage on Taraxodon? So if we were to have a look at Taraxodon, it is a character that naturally has 9 health. Do you add that 9 when assessing damage when looking at the tiebreaker? And the answer is no. Because Taraxodon never hits the KO area. Taraxodon only ever turns into Binary Edgewing Scythe, and that hits the KO area, but that is not a character, that is an upgrade. So you never count that damage when going through the tiebreaker. They're counted as an upgrade. Upgrades don't have damage on. So what if you KO a Battle Master and it has a Dismantling Claw, that scraps my Dismantling Claw. So let's go to Raxodon again because I love him. Now, Dismantling Claw is a very, very fun little card. When this is scrapped from a character, scrap an enemy weapon. But it is in and of itself a weapon. So what happens is, Taraxodon has Dismantling Claw attached. Taraxodon is KO'd. Taraxodon gets rid of Dismantling Claw. Remember, the second Taraxodon is KO'd, it then gets attacked as an upgrade. And Dismantling Claw gets rid of your opponent's Dismantling Claw. Well, now, by the time your opponent's Dismantling Claw is discarded, and they then get to discard a weapon, Taraxodon has been attached as a weapon, and their go can be scrapped using Dismantling Claw. Cool, right? Try and avoid putting yourself in that situation. You kind of play Battle Masters. Most of them are better as upgrades than they are as characters. Try and avoid getting them immediately scrapped before you ever get to use them. Oh. Can you transform a tapped character? So let's say, for argument's sake, we've got Barrage, who is tapped, and then you use Rapid Conversion to flick it into alt mode to give one of your characters PS2. Does that work? Yes. Absolutely. Why would it not? You're still flipping it. You're good to go. Speaking of cards that I was lucky enough to reveal, how about Battering Ram? You do damage, you flip over a character. It's a very fun little card. Well, what happens if you've got Captain Elita-1? Captain Elita-1's got a phenomenal skill in bot mode, whereby when it's KO'd, you scrap the top card of your deck, you may play it, then you scrap another card from the top of your deck, and you may play it. Now, this is important because Captain Elita-1 in alt mode doesn't have that skill. She gets to flip over and move damage. So the question is, when you KO with a Battering Ram attached, do you flip Captain Elita-1 and therefore they don't get the skill? Or is it too late and they do get the skill? And the answer is Elita-1 is KO'd. You then try and flip her, but you can't. She's already been KO'd. Ergo, Battering Ram will do nothing. Full Loadout. Lovely little card that came around in Wave 3. Double orange icon. Choose one of your characters. You may play a weapon, an armor, and a utility onto it. Well, how does that interact with Megatron Living Weapon? Megatron Living Weapon in bot mode can be upgraded with a weapon in its armor and or utility slot. And the answer is you need to read the card carefully. Megatron just lets you have a weapon in its armor and utility slots. Full Loadout lets you attach a weapon, an armor, and a utility. So you could, for instance, use Full Loadout to put a weapon in a non-weapon slot, but you could not use it to attach free weapons because that's not what Full Loadout does. There we go. We've talked about a couple of the cards from the Soundwave versus Blaster deck. How about Interpret the Airwaves? It's a star card, double orange icon. Play only if Blaster was on your starting team. Look at the top 5 cards of your deck and put them in any order. So you can only play it if Blaster's on your starting team. Can you put it in your deck if he's not and just play it for the double orange? Absolutely. As a side note, if you want a star card with a double orange icon, you really should be going Mounted Missiles here, because it's significantly better. But I suppose if you're out of double orange icons and you've still got stars left over, you could. I just don't think anyone ever actually would. Private Sideswipe, although this really could work for a whole bunch of different characters. In alt mode, when you flip to this mode, you get +2 until end of turn for each character in your KO area. So let's say you can use a weird combination of cards like Brainstorm, Rapid Conversion, etc. to flip it into alt mode more than once in a turn. Yeah, you'd get it more than once. It totally stacks. You're good. Cornered. Great little card that lets you flip over one of your opponent's characters. Can you use it to flip a Battle Master to its upgrade side? No. No, you can't. Battle Masters do not flip. They are either bots or they are upgrades, and they transform only when KO'd. There is no alt mode form of Terraxodon, there is no alternate form before it's KO'd, and therefore cornered would do nothing. There we go. And I think that'll do for today, ladies and gentlemen. Lots of fun new rulings, lots of Soundwave versus Blaster stuff, and lots of very interesting questions. As always, if there's anything we haven't answered in here, please do chuck a note down in the comment section, and I'm sure either myself or someone else will get to it rather quickly. But for now, tell me what you think about all these rulings in the comment section. Go nuts! Be nice. And then make sure you like this video, subscribe to this channel, and follow me on Twitter at the Wossy, where we talk about Transformers and a whole bunch of other games. But by far the most important thing, as always, look after yourselves till next time. Thank you very much for watching. My name's Ross, and you've been watching Wossy Plays.